Thank you, comrades. And first of all, being given the graveyard slot, I was beginning to think I was going to be talking to John Reid on his own in a moment. But firstly, I would like to show off this lovely T-shirt. Thank you. It's probably a little bit tighter than it should be at the moment. You know, all the bureaucrats, we all live on these prawn sandwiches and nice red wine these days. But a serious point now, there's been a de-staffing programme going on in my industry now for a number of years. Most of you have heard of the McNulty report. It sounded like something, you know, I don't know, what it was, the McNulty report. It was something that was commissioned under Labour, driven through with the Tories and the Lib Dems, and the whole programme was about taking 20,000 jobs away from families and away from the people of this country, all based on an argument that we are a third dearer than Europe. And we always agreed we were a third dearer than Europe because they didn't have shareholders. They were not privatised like we were. So we knew the answer, but they didn't conclude that the easy way was to remove the shareholder. Instead, they're going to remove our members and safety-critical workers for the public. Now, London Underground have been decimated already with thousands of workers removed, no ticket office open, and we can all see what that's led to already. And the future there, they'll be talking about driverless trains as well. So there's a battle to be had there. It's the same battle right across the country. We talk about we need coordinated action. Well, I think the bosses obviously had the earlier meeting, because coordinated action is going on right now, but it's the bosses' coordinated action. The plans they're rolling out around the country at the moment in Southern, ScotRail, Virgin Trains, all three were either on strike or balloting. Similar problems in Northern and Merseyrail. The bosses have got together. They've got together to coordinate their attack on the working class in this country. And we have to respond. And the RMT will respond, as we always do. Now, in January, I stood side by side with a lot of my comrades here when we were outside Parliament protesting against that disgusting anti-trade union bill. They call it a trade union bill. I'll never call it a trade union bill. It's an anti-trade union bill. And when I was there, we were doing what we always do, throwing the bricks as hard as we could. And standing outside Westminster, the thought I had there, and I can see Glenroy smiling already because he's heard me say this to him many times already, but it always stuck in my head. That building, 183 years previous, we're dealing with the Abolition of Slavery Act. And the same building, we're dealing with an act that was going to enslave workers in the 21st century. Because if a worker cannot withdraw their labour, they are nothing more than a modern-day slave. Now, I'll tell you this much. When we're told we can't take action anymore because the law has said we're now criminals, no, we're in the same place we've always been. The fact that... Thank you. Shouldn't that say 15 after the last speaker? The fact that the law turns us into criminals, we have to deal with that. And we either follow with the law and say, well, we can't do anything anymore because we'll be criminals. And we become a club where we could write strongly worded letters, a bit like the TUC do. Although if you get the TUC on a good day, they might write 2 strongly worded letters. But we will have to make a decision at that point. Another prison officers union, a union I've got a lot of respect for. You know, they've been enslaved long before us, and yet when their workers want to, they take action. And I know that most of the people in this room would do that, but we need strong leadership telling our members that if you need to take action, we will take action, regardless of what the law is saying. Because the reality of it is this, brothers and sisters. The fact that the slogan we use a lot, and I know it is a T-shirt we print in the RMT, so I apologise for that, but it is my favourite one. But it does say, when freedom is outlawed, only outlaws will be free. And that's what we will be. At the moment, I'm still getting invited to a lot of places, bureaucratically that is. And I'm sure it will stop, because we're all socialists in this room. And I try not to preach too much to the converted. I'd rather tell you a few stories of what I've been experiencing since I've been in my role. And when I tell these stories, people say to me after, you shouldn't have done that. They won't invite you next time. Guess what? I don't give a damn if they don't invite me next time. Anyway, I was invited into Parliament with a few comrades a little while ago to meet our trade union coordinating group, and all the MPs were there, and Angela Eagle had the microphone, and they'd all been on the red wine. And she's there, you know, this tight-knit family we all knew about a few months ago, this is now. And as we walked in the room, we arrived, and you had Lemmy from Unite, Matt Rapp from FBU, they're all there. Mick Cash from, they're all, everyone's there. And they're shouting out, RMT, when are you coming back to the family? Well, I got my reply wrong, because I replied, well, if it's a family, we're the abused child. See, this is what you get in the RMT. We elect the working class, so I'm sorry. We end up just saying what we think and what we mean. But I have been corrected because that was the wrong statement, because we gave birth to the Labour Party. My union gave birth to that party. So we shouldn't have been saying we're the abused child at all. We should say we are the disappointed parent. And the analogy I should have used, the RMT has always stood next to someone, a great politician in my view, and I aligned the RMT to another disappointed parent at that point, Tony Benn. Now that's if Tony was here today, I'm sure he would be a disappointed parent. Someone said the other week he'd be turning in his grave, and I always say, no, he wouldn't. Tony would be spinning in his grave. That's what he'd be doing. Now, I've just come back from our AGM, and I know John Reid covered a fair bit of it, so I'll try not to go right over it, and I can see the 1-minute warning coming. But the big debate of the week was about our political strategy, and I'm comfortable saying it was almost unanimous, the final vote, that we remain where we are and where we were last year and where we were the year before that my union will support politicians that only support us. We will continue supporting the trade union and socialist coalition to give workers out there and socialists a platform to argue back. I've heard Tony Mahone speak many, many times now, and I never get sick of listening to Tony. Well, that's true. Honestly, I don't. But oh God, but while I was there, while we were talking, I got handed a bit of paper, and it said on there, the vote of no confidence had gone 172 to 40. And all I saw was a possibility of a way forward now. Because the Labour Party, as I see it, has never been a party, or not since Clement Attlee probably, a party that I could recognise myself working with. Not really. Some great socialists were in it, but it's not a socialist party. But if what I believe will happen now, if Jeremy stays strong, there possibly will be a split, and there may be a party led by Jeremy and 40 others that my union can finally align itself to. And socialists right across the country may see there are people in Parliament that we can work with again, rather than the odd person that will come and speak to us if we're lucky. But Bob Crow, I was on the Isle of Man when we formed the Trade Union Social Coalition, when we had the debate, and the whole debate was around a workers' party being formed, bringing in more trade unionists and building for a new future away from the Labour Party that is sold out on workers and the working class. And I'll tell you now, we haven't achieved that yet. Previously, I was saying we didn't achieve that. We haven't achieved that yet. The history of the Labour Party, it didn't happen overnight. It took many, many, many years. And if we're building, if the new Workers' Party turns out to be a splinter group from the Labour Party, then I'm cool with that. I really am. But okay, I am getting the eyes now. Look, I was going to bore you a bit more. I do need to tell you one more thing though, because you'll like this story very quickly. Tom Watson came up to me, that lovely man, and he said, "We should get to know each other, Sean. You're now the president of the RMT." I wasn't drinking, and for a change, and. He said, we need to go for a drink and get to know each other. And I said, Tom, I'm quite happy getting to know you over a beer sometime. Yeah, we'll get to know each other, he's going. I said, but why don't we start getting to know each other now, Tom? If we're going to work together, we really should get to know each other now. And he was like, yeah, that's fine, we'll do that. I said, I'll start the ball rolling, Tom. So, Tom, there were 9 countries bombing Syria. 9, when you voted to make us the 10th. Had those 9 missed a bit? Tom, tell me. Because if they'd missed a bit, we bloody need to get in there. Let's get in there now, Tom. Do you know what bit they missed? Because, I'm right behind you, Tom. Let's get the little bit the other 9 missed. Well, all the people around us, it was like, yeah, but right back. And, all of them. The same phone call must have come through at the same time to all of them. And he spent 10 minutes explaining how he agonised over that decision. What a load of shit. If you're willing to kill women and children in their homes, if you're willing to make that decision, it's bad enough you do it. Don't you dare justify it. And finally, I'll finish on this because I've been talking to a lot of people in the public at the moment, and I've seen thousands of people get out of their armchairs and walk out into the streets in support of Jeremy Corbyn. And I was talking to a few people, and I said, well, the problem is, though, he's too honest, isn't he? To be a politician, he's a bit too honest. He tells the truth. He's never really going to get on telling the truth. And my reply to that is, again, I'll end with a saying from Lenin. And I never quote people like Lenin. But this is Lenin, and he said, being honest won't get you lots of friends, but it will always get you the right friends. And that's John Lennon. Solidarity.